Welcome to the RH Vodcast, powered by Hong Kong, an authentic lifestyle brand inspired by our home city's melting pot of cultures and charisma. Shipping worldwide, shop online, or visit the Hong Kong store. Today, we are honoured to have Tim Bredbury as our guest. Tim is a renowned figure in the football world with a rich background as both a player and a coach. He has over 30 years of experience in football, including playing for Liverpool Football Club, the Hong Kong national team, Seiko, FC Selangor of Malaysia, and Sydney Olympic FC of Australia. He has a wealth of managerial experience, having held coaching roles with Hong Kong-based teams such as Kitchee, Rangers, Sun Hay, and Tai Po. He brings a wealth of knowledge to the table as an athlete, coach, and innovator. His influence extends beyond this field with experience in marketing, journalism, event organization, and TV presenting. He has founded Cluch Asia, an online streaming TV and radio platform that combines live sports coverage with engaging sporting and lifestyle conversations for all audiences. Join us as we delve into Tim's journey in the world of sports and entrepreneurship, and gain insight from his vast experience and expertise. Tim, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Glad to be here.
Thank you very much. Let's get into it. So, firstly, on your early life, growing up in Hong Kong with a British heritage, you obviously had a diverse cultural background. How did your upbringing influence your passion for sports? And how did that shape your decision to pursue a career in the field?
Well, I think Hong Kong is, the schools here will play multiples of sports throughout the year. So the weather, everything else is, people want to be out, want to be playing. So a lot of the sports I did in the early years was through school, through KG5, where I attended, and football was always one of the main passions, along with a number of other sports. So probably sports took over a little bit more than the education side of things, which moving into professional sports sort of did help in a big way.
You were a multi-sport athlete, very talented in many different areas. You represented Hong Kong in rugby sevens, in field hockey, and also in swimming. With all of that choice, what drew you specifically to football, and what made you choose it as your primary focus and career path among all these options?
I think the choice was made for me by my father, and I think Alec Reeve, who was the headmaster at KG5 at the time, and they both wrote, my parents from Liverpool originally, so they wrote to Liverpool and Everton and basically requesting a trial. So this would probably never happen in this day and age now with the scouting systems around the world. But both clubs replied and both said, you can come, but you've got to choose one or the other. So I went back, stayed with my uncle, did, I think it was initially about a week of trialing with the Liverpool team. And fortunately they said, stay another week, and then they made a decision after that. So I did about 2 years as an apprentice. You're the one that does all the hard work, all the jobs and cleaning boots and cleaning baths and all that sort of stuff. And then I was very fortunate to be offered a year's as a full-time pro afterwards, playing in the Liverpool reserve team on occasions. And it was very tough. It was a very good team at the time, and to break through was probably not going to happen for me, but a great experience anyway.
You had the opportunity to play for various clubs in different countries, including Hong Kong, Australia, and Malaysia. How did these different football cultures impact your understanding of the global football landscape, and how did that contribute to your growth as a player?
Well, I think we decided in early 91, and one of the players from another team was up from Australia, and he invited me to come down and join Sydney Olympic. So that was I think that was the move we were going to go as a family. And Australia, this was before the A-League, it was the National Soccer League at the time. Very passionate about their football, loved, but very ethnic in the way the teams were run, and that was a sort of a plus and a negative for Australian football. But had a great time, great experience. Just the clubs were not financially that well secured, and with a young family, I needed that stability. So again, I did well in Australia, finished joint top scorer in the league, and had an offer from Selangor, who were the top side in Malaysia. That didn't go too well, to be honest. Again, just sort of arrived at the wrong time. And then after that went to Sabah. Sabah was, just again, great people, not a big city like KL as such, but just lovely people who were there. And we did very well. We were the first team from the second division to ever make the FA Cup final in Malaysia. So, yeah, all of these countries, I think, just have huge potential for their sports. They just have to get the organisation and the running of the competitions right.
You mentioned that you achieved, pretty remarkable goal scoring records. Joint top scorer in Hong Kong, multiple occasions. Top scorer in the National Soccer League with Sydney Olympic FC. What factors do you attribute to that consistent success to find the back of the net? And how did you maintain your motivation, hunger, focus for goals throughout your career?
I think I came from probably the best school to learn from in Liverpool, and the likes of Kenny Dalglish and Ian Rush, people like that who, were just knocking goals in for fun. So I think that when you aspire to, and I think I'm very fortunate when you go there and you see it and you watch and you take in what they're doing. It's and other players, to be honest, as my career sort of developed, that I could sort of fall back on to people like Terry McDermott, attacking midfield player. So when I dropped back into midfield later in my career, he was that sort of player that made runs into the box and things like that. So it was just a great opportunity to learn from quality players across different positions. And then I think I'm always been a little bit different. Let's say being from Hong Kong, you're not sort of considered a local player. And then when the foreigners were here, I was always trying to be, showing that I could be as good as, if not better than these guys. So I think that was a big driving factor in my performances, which fortunately led to, scoring a few goals as well.
You also had a distinguished coaching career. How do you draw from your own experiences as a player to inspire and develop the potential of aspiring footballers? First thing, it's a completely different animal, the coaching side of things. When you're a player, you go on. A lot of it is about you and obviously your teammates, and getting that understanding and that teamwork working together. From the other side of the pitch, you're having to deal with different players, different personalities, what you expect. And my expectations have always been high. Transferring those into players that may have not seen, let's say, that Liverpool experience, and trying to get them to not become Liverpool players, but just to make the step up and do the things that are needed, is maybe I pushed that a little bit too much in my sort of early coaching career. I know I can coach. I believe I can coach. It's just getting that balance and always learning and always open mind in how to put your ideas across. One question I had was about positions on the field, not just in football but in all sports, and how that translates into being an effective coach. Sometimes excellent players don't make excellent coaches. Sometimes excellent strikers particularly don't make excellent coaches. Do you have a take on that? I'm
not really. I mean, I think if you've got that coaching mentality and you're trying to get things across, I think it's a skill to get the best out of people. As I said, I think players who have played at the top level maybe don't have the patience to work with players who are not as gifted, let's say, or players who let's say deemed to be lazy. It's how you sort of get around that, how you get the best out of them is the key factor. And we had we just had the Soccer Sevens. We've had a great tournament, the Masters team, which I coached. We got to the finals, lost against a good Wallsend Boys Club team. But, I think people came and they sort of commented on our team. And a lot of these boys are sort of playing in the amateur leagues here. But it was putting that team together and really seeing the rewards of their efforts. I mean, it's me on the sideline screaming, but it's those guys on the pitch at the end of the day who delivered and got us to the final.
How do you approach the mentorship aspect of coaching? What values do you try to instill in your mentees beyond the technical?
I think you've got to, you're always trying to give them examples of players, of things that have happened in the past that you can sort of pass on to players. But, Hong Kong is a very diverse cultural melting pot of players, and it's trying to understand the different ways different players think. We've got African players, Brazilian players, we've got Europeans, we've got English players. So it can be difficult. It's just, I think, it probably comes down to that patience thing, being patient with players, allowing them to develop. Some players may want the screaming and shouting. The others may not respond to that at all. So you've just got to get that balance right. And I think also lead by example. you're the first one at training, you're the last one at training, and show that, you're putting yourself ahead of the team every time.
How do your past experiences as a player and a coach inform the strategies, the methodologies that you implement as an entrepreneur? And what was it like making that transition?
I think the best thing from my side in terms of the sports side is just the opportunities, the connections that I've made over the years, and being able to go back in and tap into those contacts has been very invaluable in certain respects. I mean, I went from sort of training 2 or 3 hours a day to an sports internet business straight after I finished playing, and we were sort of up 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, leaving there, back to Discovery Bay, back in again at 9 the next day. And I think it's being in that right position at the right time of, the potential. You're doing it as well. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your family, and you're doing it obviously. Trying to do it for the people that are working for you as well. So, I think it's the great thing about Hong Kong. It's just a huge place of opportunity, and it's just. I think you just got to knocking on doors. You just got to keep speaking to people, meeting people, which I think is the key to the way this place works. And something will come up somewhere, and then you just got to take it and run with it and see what happens.
Solid advice. Can you share with us the inspiration behind starting the Cluch Asia platform, and what specific gap or need in the sports media landscape were you trying to address?
I suppose there were two things. One, I was as a former player, and as I said, I scored a few goals. It's always nice to be able to go and have a look at those goals, but they're all sort of sitting somewhere in social media land, and somebody somewhere has all this footage. So that was one of the reasons for it. The second one was more going back to the coaching side of things, the development of these AI cameras and the companies like Pixelot, VO, these sort of companies that are developing this technology. But I saw it as being very niche, very, very specific, obviously for coaches. And with the world of social media as well, being able to get those clips, cut them up, and which is people are doing all the time. Young kids now, it's second nature to them. Get those clips, cut them up. If you've got sponsors, stick the sponsors on, and send them off into the world of social media. And that's where I saw the best of. There is obviously interest at a certain level to watch. We did Premiership Rugby this season, for example. So we had 90 odd games for Premiership Rugby. There's not a huge market for watching the games live, but take the best of. There's Aileen Ryan, who's was playing against Kazakhstan, last kick of the game to win it for Hong Kong, and she nails it from the touchline. Taking that clip and then sending it out, that's gold. That's really what I think Cluch for me now is all about. And we've done the same with, I had something on LinkedIn from the Soccer Sevens, and one of our players scored a volley into the top corner, and I'm off doing a little bit of a dance and a jig round in front of the other coach from the other team. But that's what we see. That's where I see this going. Yep. It's going to be the best of Asian sport, and really, I said, giving it a home, giving it a platform.
From an entrepreneur standpoint, can you give us some insight as to how the business model actually works? How does it create value for the platform? How does it create value for individual leagues and teams within this community?
Again, I think that the home of sport, where all the content can be found. You know that you can download the app for free. The content generally is free on the app. So we're sort of going from a production through to the platform offering from Cluch at the moment. So we'll film games, whether they're Premier League, rugby games, with generally one camera, and then we've sort of advanced through connections into sort of multi-camera. We did the rugby 10s at the football club, the rugby soccer 7s as well. We've got a squash tournament coming up as well. So it's giving all these sports bodies a home, with an idea that if we get the Hong Kong Squash Association, we do a good job for them, that we can maybe go to Singapore squash, Thailand squash. And again, it's because it's not available now. Nobody has that platform. So if all these different sports, and we can create channels for each of these associations, that's where all their content can sit. And we can do this across sports leagues, schools. So it's there to be done. We're just sort of, I think, really scratching the surface at the moment.
RH Vodcast, powered by Hong Kong, an authentic lifestyle brand inspired by our home city's melting pot of cultures and charisma. Shipping worldwide, shop online, or visit the Hong Kong store. Can you speak to the demographic of your viewership? Who watches community sports? Who watches this short form content?
I think you're going to have a mix of everybody. Obviously, players that are playing. So we offer live, delayed live, and then the opportunity to go back in and see the highlights. So obviously, the players who are playing can go back later on. Again, with Hong Kong being an international community, people who have got family and friends overseas, that sort of thing as well. That's part of the audience. And I think again, just those good quality clips can be shared with rugby players, rugby fans in any country in the world. So we've had some figures back from the Soccer Sevens, and I think we had something like 47 countries. People were watching the tournament. From the Rugby 10s, I think there was 50 odd countries. So there's no... we can drill down into and get the viewership reports and get the actual male-female demographic and age and that sort of stuff. But overall, I think it's anybody that loves sport, to be honest.
Can you speak to the potential of advertising on your platform? What sort of future do you see in terms of monetization of community sports content in the advertising sphere?
Well, we see the timing being good and bad. Good in that nobody's apart from, let's say, Rugby Union, who have the Rugby Sevens and the funding behind them, and an assortment of who's who of world sponsors anyway. A lot of the other sports bodies are putting together or struggling, let's say, with regards to maybe staffing, maybe and understanding what we can offer as a platform. So within every production, we are now offering sort of graphics. So every time there's an event, if there's a try, a goal scored, up comes a banner, which we're trying to offer it back into the clubs where we'll charge them a small fee, but they can on-sell that to other sponsors, whether existing or new sponsors. So that can happen across all of their home games. So there's all different ways we can do it. Then we add in other elements such as commentary and just make it more and more professional. And then the highlights packages as well. So different ways it can be done. It's I think really getting in front of the right people at the right time, and which we've done so far, and explaining what the platform is all about.
With this platform, you're getting a unique perspective. You're seeing things which you're bringing sports from a certain niche to light, which hasn't been featured before. You must have seen some amazing things. Would you be able to share any specific examples of how this platform has made a positive impact on the sports community?
Sure. Or
anything memorable, anecdotes-wise?
Well, I think that there's been some memorable goals across, even in hockey and in the sports that we've done. I think we did an international hockey tournament just recently. So it was Hong Kong men's, Hong Kong women's combined playing at Hong Kong Football Club. And Billy Dillon, who's the chairman of the Hong Kong Hockey Association, was in it's the Asian International Hockey Federation meeting in Korea. So I think Billy came back and he was quite chuffed. He was walking around with his phone going, "Oh, look, we're streaming in Hong Kong," and everybody, "Oh, okay." So the little things like that, which I think we're just giving, as I said, unless you want to watch hockey or rugby, you have to go to the stadium. What we're saying now is you don't have to go there. You can watch it on Cluch. You could be in a social club, you could be in a bar. So these are things further down the road where local sport could be broadcast in your local pub type thing. So this is where we see the growth and the opportunities also. So it's taking it from the physical side, as in having to go to a stadium, to obviously having the ability now to watch it in the comfort of your own home. You can stream it onto your TV, onto your computer, or through the mobile app. So I think getting people's feedback. And again, yes, over the last 2 days for the Soccer Sevens, just people coming up and going, wow, this is really good. And the quality of the video, the quality of what we're doing is making people go, yeah, this is not bad.
Do you think that Cluch has a platform to actually inspire the next generation to get into sports more, to pursue their dreams?
Well, I was going to mention, as you said, things like scholarships, for example. If players want to be able to go, not having that footage available, but be able to go back into a game, cut their goals out or their best bit of play, and then be able to put it into a presentation as such that they could then send off to support, an application for a scholarship overseas. So I think that's something very simple, and that can be done quite easily. I think what we're seeing as well is we're going to need, as we grow, more people who can get behind a camera and want to operate a camera. And as we sort of deal with these different leagues and associations, we see a sort of a horizontal being their top league as such, with all the other leagues potentially coming on board at some stage. But then we also see a vertical within each of in our discussions, in that then you have a club channel. So the opportunity then is to find that person within the club who wants the microphone, who wants to go and do those interviews, whether it's pre-game, post-game. And I think that's an exciting opportunity as well, which we're sort of starting to... This last year for us has really been more proof of concept. Let's make sure we can get all these games done. We can deliver. We can show that Cluch is here to stay. And then phase 2 is now to start going back into the clubs, start to speak to them, start to speak to their sponsors. You have Nanfung, who are the main sponsor for Premiership Rugby. They're not being used properly. We've got High Sound Development, I think, doing junior rugby. They've got properties all over Hong Kong. Now, the video wall that they've got in these various places, Swires and all these places, that's where all this rich content can sit. That's where the highlights, that's where Nanfung, the banner, should be on display. So, I think we're scratching the surface. There's a huge amount we can do. We just need to, I think, instead of trying to work on our own, we need everybody to be working in the same direction.
How do you make a decision of where you focus your resources? And also, how can a local club appeal better to your platform so that they get your attention?
Well, the easy part has been the initial discussions with obviously people that have got good relationships with at rugby, hockey, netball, places like that. So we're also in discussions with Hong Kong Football Association. So there are opportunities. I think one of the big issues that we're going to face, and I think sport in general faces, is we have I'm going to call it a little bit of an archaic LCSD, Leisure Cultural Services Department, who control all the facilities. They are very, they need, I think, to revamp, catch up with the rest of the world in terms of people want video, whether from coaching point of view, judiciary purposes, marketing purposes, whatever. And the LCSD don't want this in their venues. Now, we've got all these, the past political issues, which are still relevant, but we have to start moving forward, and these venues have to become more than just we have a stadium in every district in Hong Kong, and there we've ticked a box. They need to become the sort of centre of sport in Hong Kong. So I think there's a lot of things that need to be changed. So it's going to be interesting to see the likes of Kai Tak Sports Park, how they develop, how they attract sports in there. If the potential is there. With, I suppose, when you move across into these AI cameras, they can be fixed and they literally can sit there all day, every day and stream games. So it will come. It's just restrictions at the moment in certain venues around Hong Kong.
It's a perfect segue. Look, talking about moving forward, making advancements, we're going through a period where there are material advancements in technology, including AI at the moment, which are transforming many industries. How do you envision AI being integrated into the world of sports media, and can you give more color on specific areas or features where you see AI playing a significant role, especially to enhance the Cluch platform?
I was having a chat this morning with a young lad who's been doing some editing for us, talking about AI, and I was in this science and technology park up in just past Shartin the other day, and I was fortunate, bumped into a friend and ended up at a Microsoft presentation on AI and the whole where this is all going. And there was one of the slides said something like 300 million jobs could go with AI. It's the way of the world. It's going to happen at some stage or other. So the AI side of it, in terms of the production side, is already there. In terms of the editing, and will we need editors, or will it'll know when a goal is a goal? I think that's all pretty basic stuff. So, can it do all the marketing side of things? Can it write the report for you from the game? Probably. So, it's just when all this stuff is going to happen. It's not. Is it going to happen? It's just when is it going to happen? So it is interesting. You write your little, I need this, and this, and whoosh, there's my report back. I don't like that one. Redo it. Up it comes again. So it's a useful tool. I think we just got to use it wisely.
Everything can't have gone perfectly setting up Cluch. Can you elaborate on some of the challenges that you might have faced in managing Cluch, and how have you learned from those challenges to improve the platform and make it more successful, more sustainable?
Sure. With all of this production side, so I've done a lot of stuff on the media, on the other side of the camera, doing the presenting and all that side, and I worked at ATV for a year and a bit doing sports presenting. So that side is quite easy. Turn up, somebody does all that stuff for you. It really comes down to the last mile with a lot of this production side of things. It's that cable that just has come loose in your camera. It's the data's not enough, the location, the streaming, something needs to be changed. Or we're doing, as I said, one camera production. For rugby union, for example, they have referees who want one sort of shot, and then they have the analysis guy who wants a wider shot so he can see more of the field and where all the players are. So it's being open and listening and trying to fix and trying to help meet everybody's expectations. Hockey, we can't be in the main middle of the stand when the recent finals were on. We have to relocate. So it's nothing. There's been nothing major as such. We've touch wood, delivered on everything. Interesting. Before I came here, I was at the Hong Kong Squash Centre. So it's just a venue that is terrible to film. The Wi-Fi connections, everything else in there is just not great, and the courts are going to be 2 floors up from where all the. So it's a challenge, but it's an interesting challenge. So I'm learning all the time, and maybe I say the right thing, the wrong thing at the different times. But I'm pushing it. I'm pushing it forward because it's got to be done. So we just got to keep moving forward.
Fantastic. Can you speak to your long-term goals, your aspirations for Cluch, both in terms of audience engagement and the impact that you hope to make in the sports media industry over the coming years?
Sure. The potential of Cluch is huge. Through my brother-in-law, who's involved with a rugby club in the UK called Barnes, we've been streaming their home games this season. So, the world is our oyster in terms of the potential for this. Our little bit of world is Asia, which is China's going to have its issues with regards to streaming in and out, that sort of thing. But I'm looking forward to sort of being able to maybe get on a plane soon and start going to various countries and start knocking on the doors of whether it's the sports associations or the sports leagues, and just selling what we do. That's the key to, I think, to the growth of the business. And as I said, ideally, the home of Asian sport at some stage would be the nice goal.
You're somebody who's achieved success in multiple spheres in sports, on the field, off the field. Can you speak to some of the values which drive you on a daily basis, and maybe any advice that you might like to pass on in closing to the next generation of entrepreneurs?
I said, I think maybe said it a bit earlier in my football career, and it's having, I think, family behind you. I'm fortunate that I've just had it's my wife's birthday actually today, 60th today. So we've had my daughter in town, sister-in-law in town, and she had a surprise the other day, and tears and all this sort of stuff. So family is a huge thing, and Hong Kong is not a cheap place to be. So you've got to be earning, you've got to be as I said, out there knocking on doors, meeting as many people as possible. And I'm fortunate now. The last couple of years I was doing some stuff in recruitment with my son-in-law. That was going really well, but now I'm sort of back in my, let's call it my happy place. I've got a bit of sport, I'm doing a bit of production, and I'm just seeing a huge bit of potential in front of us. So that's what's driving me forward. So if it can be your passion, then try and make it that, and then just give it as much and all you've got.
Fascinating interview. We very much appreciate hearing your insights, learning from you, as I'm sure our audience does. We very much look forward to following the growth of Cluch over the coming years. And once again, we thank you for your time. It was a real honour to have you, Tim Bredbury.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
RH Vodcast, powered by Hong Kong, an authentic lifestyle brand inspired by our home city's melting pot of cultures and charisma. Shipping worldwide, shop online, or visit the Hong Kong store.